Well, all right. So we're going to get started here again. My name is Bernard Jeter with Insurance Advisors Direct. And, every Wednesday we put on our Retirement Roadblock series. This week, today, we're going to talk about taxation risk. And we have Brandon Haig here who's going to go over that. Brandon, my friend, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Bernard. Thank you to those of you who are joining us. Again, as Bernard said, it's a holiday week, so I know there's a lot of stuff to wrap up before you get to Friday, before there's Monday, and a long, hopefully relaxing holiday weekend. So thank you for joining us today. We are going to talk taxation. We're not going to dive too deep. I think there's a few key points that are really important that you have a bit of a handle on. And then we're going to talk about a product that ties everything together, because this is the last of our retirement roadblocks. And then we'll go into what we're going to do next week, which is a little bit of a shift. And I think it's going to be good for folks. So let's kick it off with a little bit. I've reviewed these the last few times, some stuff that's in the news. It's still this month, so it still counts. But again, on June 7th, so just a couple weeks ago, there was a report and a survey done by BlackRock showing that 89% of folks currently saving in a 401k believe that protected lifetime income options, things like fixed index annuities, are important. 90% said owning those would give them a positive impact on their financial well-being. 89% of folks in 401ks, those are savers. Those are people thinking about retirement. They have assets. They've been saving for a long time. They are looking for products like this. You can see it in the 401k marketplace. They're trying to figure out, how do we as 401k providers retain these assets? Because if they don't figure out how to do it, 89% of people are going to take their money and move it to someone that is going to help them with a guaranteed income product, like we've been talking about for the past couple months. It's a great time to do so. Speaking of great time, you look at the Fed. They've announced that they are increasing rates sooner than expected on the Treasury. What does that mean? That means that the fixed index annuity products, the guaranteed protected lifetime income products, are going to continue to get better. It means that the benefits, the bonuses, and the interest options that exist are going to get better. The 10-year Treasury has a tremendous impact on these products and how carriers price them. The fact that it's going up means that they're going to be able to increase and benefit and grow these products faster than they expected. What it also means is bonds are going to go down in price, because the more that interest rates go up, bond prices go down. So as clients look for conservative options, especially if they've seen the growth in the stock market, a lot of folks are starting to think, man, it's been up, up, up. And in history, it goes up, up, up. And the next thing it does goes down. And so a lot of folks are looking, how do I take a look at conservative products can protect the growth I just had for the past year or two, but still give me some options for at least a little bit of growth, but protect all that downside until the market kind of settles. Well, if the Fed's raising interest rates, bonds are not going to be looking too hot. So you want to look at a product like a fixed index annuity that has a 0% downside and equity linked returns. These are great times to be getting into products like this. You're just going to see these things improve. You're going to see a lot of people shift into it if we start to see the market downturn a little bit. So a couple of things in the news there, but let's go into what we're going to talk about today. We'll review the roadblocks. We do it every time. We'll take a look at the taxation risk. I've got a video for you as always, as well as a couple points I really, really think are important to have a handle on. This isn't going to be everything about taxation. If you want more, we have white papers to help you. We've got guides. You can reach out to Bernard if you want to dig deeper into this. But for our intents and purposes, there's really only a couple key points. Well, let's move into the retirement roadblocks. So again, The Retirement Roadblocks is a platform that IAD has brought to you to simplify your success. What it's geared to do is to help you have conversations with clients and prospects around what do they need to be thinking about within retirement. You've got Medicare down, you know healthcare, you know that they need to be thinking about that. There are 6 other risks that they need to be thinking about as they move forward in retirement. The nice thing is now IAD has brought you the guaranteed protected income products. They're bringing you the opportunity for life insurance products. We're digging into that right now. These conversations lead you down the path to take a look at one, both of these options. It's not going to lead directly to a product. What it's going to do is it's going to lead directly to a conversation about how can you help me? Bernard has put together a team to help you simplify that success. We can help you have those conversations when your clients are saying, yeah, this makes sense. I need help. How do I do it? And you can help them. So we've gone through, this is the 7th, taxes. But there are 7 risks that they need to be thinking about. As I mentioned, you've got healthcare on lock. You know that, but we can help you to help alleviate your clients' fears around the rest of these. And folks, I tell you, people are going to be talking about this right now if they're not already. We're getting a ton of feedback from advisors and agents and producers using retirement roadblocks with prospects, clients, and gathering more and more requests for appointments to have these conversations. Real experience, I had an advisor that I work with. He just did 2 events last week. Both of them were just in-office lunches, brought him lunch, did this presentation. He ended up getting 24 people to attend. And out of that, he got 12 people that said, wow, we really need to talk about this. And he's getting 50% conversion on those appointment rates, which is huge if you've ever done events before. We have folks doing these as virtual webinars. They're doing them every other week, and they're getting prospects, clients, and referrals saying, gosh, I've never seen it so simple. How do we walk through this? To help you on these, we've got everything you could need. A pre-approved presentation, animated videos, we have calculators, there's an app, we have white papers to help you read into what are these risks and how to talk about them. The presentation is already scripted. You don't have to do any work on there. We have invitations, we have consumer guides, everything you would need from end to end to put this in front of clients and prospects to say, hey, here's something I just wanted to bring to your attention. I have the ability now, because I work with IAD, to look at some protected income products. Wanted to walk you through where these can help you. Again, to get into these, you've got access to it now. It doesn't cost anything. It's free. It's part of your deal as being part of the IAD family. So let's dig into taxation. So this, as I mentioned, this is the last risk we talk about in the retirement roadblocks. And it's one of those risks that you can actually plan for. Unlike healthcare, you can do some steps, but you really don't know what your health's going to do down the line. But proactively, we can plan for retirement. Robert Kiyosaki, one of the best-selling authors of a personal finance book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, he said it's not how much you earn, it's how much you keep that matters. And taxation speaks directly to that. So if you think about clients, many of them have IRAs and 401ks as their largest retirement savings. Well, the problem with that is if they're not diversified, and we're going to talk about the 3 ways to diversify, they're essentially leaving themselves with a tax time bomb down the line that if taxation goes up, and we'll talk about why that's likely, all of their savings is going to be taxed at a higher rate. They want to be able to control that because Uncle Sam's still going to want his cut eventually. Even if you're saving pre-tax, you're going to have to pay taxes at some point there. So while many may have, say, $1 million in a 401k, after they pay Uncle Sam, is that enough? Maybe not. So I'm going to share with you the video now to introduce taxation risk, and then we are going to go through and talk a little bit about what this video previews.
Taxes have been around in one form or another for thousands of years. The first known system of taxation goes all the way back to ancient Egypt in 3000 BC. Back then, the pharaoh would tour his kingdom every other year and collect 20% of everyone's crop harvest. And ancient Egyptians weren't very happy to pay taxes. Today, our modern tax system is much more complex. Because the government is continually tinkering with our tax system, the Internal Revenue Code is 6,550 pages long, and that doesn't include the 7.7 million words of tax regulations that are used to interpret those pages. There are generally 3 categories of tax treatment for your retirement savings. Taxable, where you pay taxes every year on your earnings. Tax deferred, meaning you don't pay taxes until you withdraw money. And tax-free, where you do not pay taxes on your earnings at distribution. Each category has different rules, different tax treatment, and different advantages and disadvantages. But all too often, many people have all their retirement savings in just 1 or maybe 2 categories. And when tax rates or rules change, you might be unable to make adjustments to your retirement income. Consider siblings Bill and Jill. Bill owns a traditional IRA. Jill owns a stock. When Bill takes money out of his traditional IRA, he must pay ordinary income taxes on the total amount he withdraws. Jill, on the other hand, when she sells her stock, will pay capital gains taxes on just the growth of the stock while she owned it. For Bill, his ordinary income tax rate can be as high as 37%. But for Jill, her long-term capital gain tax rate maxes out at 20%. Bill received a tax deduction in the year he contributed money into his traditional IRA. Meanwhile, Jill didn't receive any tax deductions when she bought her stock. Complicated, right? Now consider if Uncle Sam increased the tax rate on ordinary income, but left capital gains tax rates the same. Suddenly, Bill's taxes on his traditional IRA would go up, but Jill's taxes on the sale of her stock would remain the same. The result is that Bill would have fewer dollars in his pocket than Jill to pay his bills in retirement. That is why a retirement strategy that includes a strategy of tax allocation can be important. Much like you may use asset allocation to diversify your investments, tax allocation diversifies your retirement plan components into vehicles that are taxed differently. That way, should tax rates or rules change for one part of your retirement strategy, you could shift to using retirement funds from another area. Your financial professional can help you understand how various insurance.
All right, so that's the video. There's a lot there, and it doesn't go too deep. It's just introducing the idea of taxation, and the rates can change, so it's important to stay diversified, much like asset allocation with investments or income allocation in retirement. So what I want to talk about first is, what do we think taxes could do in the future? What you've got on the screen is actually a snapshot of usdebtclock.org. I took this morning, and what it's showing, and it will change if you look at it now, is it real time shows the US national debt. It's at above $28 trillion. Now, what's important here is if you look at, it has what's called a debt clock time machine. If we jump ahead 5 years, that increases about $22 trillion. It's not going down, it's going up, and it's going up fast. That's just 5 years and it almost doubles. So why is that? What's going on? Well, it's important to take a look. We'll take a look at 2019 since we have that data, and we didn't have 2020 when we put all this together. But right now, the revenues that were incoming from the US government was 3.5 trillion inbound. Going out, though, was 4.4. In 2019, that meant there was a deficit of about $0.9 trillion, almost a full trillion. Now, with COVID and spending and taxes and income all shifting around, we expect those numbers to be even wider. Because if you look at government spending, 70% of it is fixed. Just on our debt alone, we pay $375 billion a year in interest. Then you put in Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and other fixed spendings, 70% of what we have is going out. We know it. That means the discretionary spending is only 30%. That's not a lot to tinker with, which means that the outflows are going to be pretty standardized. So what can the government do? Well, they can adjust where they take money from. Right now, the revenues of 3.5 trillion are coming a lot from payroll and income tax. So where else can they adjust? Is they can adjust on those income taxes and on the payroll taxes. If you look at where we're at now, the future of tax rates is currently uncertain. And well, again, the reason is we have more going out than we have coming in. And at some point, they're either going to need to decrease spending or increase taxes. So if you think about how likely is it that the government is going to decrease spending? Well, in the past 60 years, they've done it 4 times. Not likely that they're going to decrease that. So it appears more likely that taxes are going to have to increase. Again, we're at historically low rates. The average top marginal tax rate was 57.31. Today, we're at about 37. So it's, again, a likely outlook that things are going to go up. So what can people do? Well, this is where you talk about tax diversification. This is why you want to have different sources of retirement income so that you can pivot if tax rates change. And so we call that, as you've been hearing a lot, tax allocation. Some people will call it the tax triangle. It's all the same idea. And the 3 options that you have are tax-free, tax deferred, and taxable. So what that looks like is taxable are going to be your stocks, your mutual funds, your CDs, anything that would fall under what's called a non-qualified account. If you've got a brokerage account at Charles Schwab, at E-Trade, at any of the different investment options, all of those are taxable, which means they're taxed before they get to the client through income tax. They go into the account, and when the client sells those assets or has earnings, they're taxed before they get back to the client. Taxed on the way in, taxed on the way out. When you look at another option, which is tax deferred, those are your 401ks, your IRAs, and annuity. These are the really common pieces. And that means they are only taxed out. You don't get taxed on what goes into your 401k. You don't get taxed on your IRA. You actually get deductions on there to offset taxes. So what's the problem if you have all of your savings in a 401k or an IRA is when they come out, they're going to be taxed as income. If income rates go up, the tax rate on those assets are going to go up, which means, yeah, you may have saved some taxes when they went into it, but if we're at really low rates right now and rates are going to go up, when do you want to take the tax? Now or later? If they're going to go up, I'd rather take them now when we're at a low tax rate. Then you look at the third option, which is tax-free. Now that's your Roth IRA, potentially life insurance, other types of municipal bonds. But the way that that works is that gets taxed on the way in. So if I put $1,000 into my Roth IRA, that counts as income. I pay tax on it today. But if that $1,000 grows into $50,000, when I take that out, taxes aren't going to touch it. So I can let that grow and I can use that as tax-free income coming out. As I go into and I'm saving for retirement with my wife, down the line, I don't know exactly where taxes are going to be or where tax rates are going to go or where the marginal rates or income limits. I don't know any of that. But what I know is if I use all 3 buckets, when I look at my income allocation and where I want to pull from, I am going to have control. over how much income I want to be able to take from a tax-deferred 401k or a tax-free Roth or a taxable. I can now adjust my income tax rates by leveraging all three buckets. And that's the main goal that we want to get across with taxation risk. It is important to leverage all three so that you have greater control over your income in retirement. Many folks kind of forget about the whole Roth side of things and the fact that that can grow tax-free. And sometimes if they have a high earning level, they miss out, because once you earn a certain level, you can't use some of these products anymore. You get phased out. And some folks have to rely on, boy, if my company offers a Roth 401k, I got to use that because I can't get one on my own. That's why when a lot of college kids are starting off, some of the best advice you can give them is make sure you capitalize on getting yourself a Roth. You may not have access to it by the time you're in your 40s or 50s if you have high earnings in the career that you've chosen. So here are our disclosures. This is where all the information came from. That covers where we got it from. And again, it's not endorsed or produced by the US government. This is our piece that we found using our sources. That's taxation. Now, the other thing I talked about is I'm going to give you a product that basically shows how you can help clients manage the risks in retirement today. This is a product you have access to right now through working with IAD. And it's called the Athene Agility. And Athene is one of the top carriers. Actually in Q1, they were the top annuity carrier for the fixed index side of annuities. We haven't gotten to Q2's numbers yet, but I expect Athene to be up there in the top 2. They last year were the top selling one of 2020. So this is one of their top selling products as well. Now, what this product is the Athene Agility is the goal is to grow a client's savings and turn that into protected lifetime income. And by doing so, here's what you're going to get by using a product like this: 25% bonus on the premium to the benefit base. So if the client puts in 300,000, they're going to get a 25% bonus, which in this case means $75,000 added to their benefit base day one. It's a big jump start to savings. They're going to get equity index linked interest options, which can give them growth potential. If you look at, again, where the market could be, where bonds are, and what we know of FIAs, you can expect a 3 to 5% return over a 10-year period historically, which if you're looking at the outlook for bonds, Prudential will tell you bonds are looking at 1.8%. When you look at the option to have some equity index linked returns on your savings where you have a 0% downside, because if the market goes down, you don't lose. Zero is your hero in this case. That can help. But just to make it a little better, this product will throw 175% bonus to the client's returns. So what does that mean? Well, if the market returns 4%, your client's going to get a benefit-based bonus of 7%. They're getting an added bonus to help them grow their savings faster. And then once they start income, doesn't stop there. It can continue to grow to hedge against inflation, rising healthcare costs, or any other costs that may continue to grow while they're in retirement. So unlike a lot of products where you may have to annuitize and you're stuck at that payment forever, not the case here. So what I'm going to show you is an example of a couple age 65. They're looking at retirement. They've got their savings aside, but they haven't put in anything that'll give them protected income in retirement. And what they decide to do is they take a look and they say, you know, we've got the first part of our retirement kind of covered, but we haven't thought about inflation. We haven't thought about what happens if we run out of money. And so what we want to do is we want to find a product that we can put aside, let sit, and turn it on when we get to, say, age 75. It can give us income that can help protect our lifestyle, that can grow with us, and we know it'll never run out. Oh, also, we're married. So if something happens to me, I want to make sure my wife is protected. If something happens to her, I want to make sure I'm protected. Unlike Social Security, on a product like this, if something happens to one of the couple, the income does not change. The product remains the same, and it lasts until they both pass away. If they pass away sooner than expected, this also has a death benefit that can go to their beneficiaries. So if they don't use all of their investment, it's not lost. It can get passed on to their beneficiaries. Now, if they live long enough and they get a great return on this investment, that goes away. But again, the goal here is their lifetime income. And so this is something that we want to go to zero, because we want them to use all their money and then all of the insurance carriers' money that they can. And that's where they get their return. So let's take a look. This is our clients, age 65, and they're putting in $300,000. So let's take a look at something really quick. Number one thing to know is the benefit base versus the accumulated value. The benefit base is what their income will be based on. Now, we want that to grow as fast as possible, because what we want to do is the higher that number is, the more that they're going to be able to get in income over time. Now, that's not a lump sum that they can take out, but all of the bonuses on their account go to the benefit base, which is why immediately you see it much higher than their accumulated value, which is the actual account value. That's the money that's in there. Again, we want to get that to zero, because as soon as that's at zero, they are in the insurance company's pocket and they are getting more and more of a return on this investment. The benefit base, again, we want to grow as fast as we can. If you look at when they start turning on income, I said age 75, their benefit base is almost $200,000 more than their account value, which means that's what their income is going to be based on. Year one, they get $36,333. Now that's year one. As I mentioned, this grows. So as there are returns in the market, their income can grow. It will never step back. If there's a downturn in the market and we lose 20%, all they see is not a step up that year. Their income will never go back. Your very first check is the very worst check they'll ever see. Now, what's really cool about this is, let's say one or both of the couples make it to age 95, which, if you've been following along, is likely in the scenario of couples that are at age 65 right now, 50-50 shot that they're going to make it this long. At that age, the amount of income that they have taken from this, starting income at age 75 till age 95, is $1.1 million. They put in 300,000, they let it sit, they turned on income, and by the time they're 95, they've taken 1.1 million out in this example. Now, what happens if they live to age 100, which we know, again, 25% chance that they'll make it to age 98, 99, 5% chance they'll make it past that. The income will only go up. It will never step back. So if you want to do the math on if they make it to 100, take 84,620, multiply it by 5, and add it to 1.1 million. And that's what they would get at least until then. So these products can, as clients live and enjoy their retirement, can take a small amount of funds and turn it into a tremendous income stream for their retirement savings. As things go up, as expenses go up, healthcare, their income can be used for that to help them retire and stay in the lifestyle that they want. Again, never runs out. It grows along with the index, hedges against inflation. So you've got longevity taken care of, you've got inflation taken care of. You, as the agents, have already taken care of healthcare. If taxes go up, this can help pay for taxes. We've got all of these pieces put together. Don't have to worry about withdrawal rate risk. It's already locked in place. Again, what do you do? How do you get started? As I mentioned before, the best time to get started was, well, yesterday, but the second best time is now. Reach out to Bernard and have a conversation around if this is something you're interested in. What he will do is he'll loop me, he'll loop his team in, and we can have one-on-one conversations. I just blew through an illustration. That was fast. You may have questions on how do they work? How is this possible? How do we know the carriers aren't going to price themselves out? I'll walk you through how all of this works. It's a lot of math, but it's sound math. And it has been working for a very long time, and it's going to continue. The carriers that we've brought with IAD are all A-rated carriers. They're strong financially, and you can be confident going to your clients with these carriers. Again, they're the top that exist out there, and we're bringing them to you. We've got the education and training. We can get you appointed, and all of the casework will help. You saying, hey, I've got a client that's thinking about it, great. Send it to Bernard. We'll share with you what we find as the best options out there for products. We're not beholden to one carrier only. We actually have quite a few on the shelf, so we can find what are going to be the top options out there. And you may find that you bring 3 clients, we're going to bring 3 different products with 3 different carriers, because it all depends on what their situation is. You don't have to worry about figuring that out. We've got the back office to do it, and we can help you take care of everything from appointment to paid. Again, a very lucrative business. We've been doing billions in this industry over the last couple of years, and advisors that are stepping into this are, well, they're getting rewarded quite handsomely, because for helping clients in this way, you get rewarded quite well also. And for some advisors that are stepping into this and picking up this baton for the first time this year, they're seeing increases of 5-6 figures on their income over the last year and a half. So it's a big move, a big shift for folks to really capitalize on the opportunity that exists out there as more and more folks are moving into retirement. Next week, we're going to talk about the Alliance for Lifetime Income. Now, what is that? It is a free resource that has more pieces for you to educate yourself. There are more pieces that you can put your name, your picture on that are approved, and go ahead and share these with clients. Alliance for Lifetime Income it's big. We'll talk more about it. For a fun fact, they sponsor the Rolling Stones tour every year. So as the Rolling Stones go out, which they're kind of in the right age for the Alliance of Lifetime Income, as they tour again this year, they're going to be brought to you by the Alliance for Lifetime Income. So if you've got any Rolling Stone fans out there, this is a good little piece to say, hey, did you know? On the 14th, Bernard and I are going to walk through how do you approach clients and have this conversation. That's big. We're going to role play how that works. We'll show you how to do it. Trust me, it's not as difficult as you think, because the key is you don't have to know all of the bits and pieces. You have Bernard, you have me. We can show you how the machine works behind the curtain. We can be there to answer questions on the for your clients. What we can't do is make that sale for you, but we can answer questions on how it works, what are the technicalities of it, and how do we get there. And then on July 21st, Athene is one of our biggest carrier partners that we have. I'm going to bring in a guest speaker to give you another overview of their product line and some of the sales ideas they have that are working for agents, advisors, producers today. As they, again, Q1 #1 carrier out there, they know what's working, and I'm going to bring one of our counterparts on to talk a little bit about that. But I am 6 minutes over because I was really excited to talk about all this. That is the retirement roadblocks for today. I appreciate your time, your attention. As Bernard said, we do these every Wednesday. We're going to continue to do them throughout the summer. and hope that you take this opportunity to raise your hand and say, I'd like to learn more, because IAD is making it as simple as possible to do these for yourself. We have folks that have done that. They're contracted with carriers. They're talking to clients. They've got applications and illustrations in front of their clients that we're going through right now. Again, just like you 4 months ago, hadn't heard of annuities, and didn't know how they worked. Had a few meetings with Bernard, myself, and they are out there putting it in front of clients because IAD has made it easy to simplify your success. Bernard, that's it for me, man. I'm turning it back over to you.
All right, Brandon, as always, thank you, my friend. You know, for Medicare agents, this is the perfect time to build up towards AEP. So now I don't know if you're calling on leads, folks that are turning 65 or they're 65, and, you know, for those conversations for AEP, introduce them with the retirement roadblocks and tell them the 7 roadblocks that they're going to face. And then as when October 15th come, I mean, you'll sell that annuity first, and then when October 15th come, you'll have that Medicare product, whether it's MedSup or Medicare Advantage, because you know you've built that relationship with those folks. So right now is the perfect time to set yourself up for AEP. So with that said, everybody have a great 4th of July weekend. I know for the folks here in Michigan, let's stay dry here. Hope your basements haven't flooded out. I know I was one of the lucky ones, but there's a lot of folks that weren't so lucky. So let's, you know, pray for those folks as well. And folks, again, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week. All right, bye.